Hi guys, welcome to this new FSI panel video. This time we will practice a little bit of engine failure, departing from Amsterdam runway 18 center. We might experience an engine failure on the takeoff roll, and then we will do a circuit come back for an ILS. So this is the scenario. The weather will be visibility 200 meters with a ceiling overcast at 100 feet. We're gonna take off on runway 18 center, have an engine fail, come back for a Cat 1 ILS. We will go around and come back for a landing. So as always, first we choose the airport, Echo Hotel Alpha Mike, Amsterdam. We check that all the informations are correct. The runway, so we said we want to practice ILS on 18 center, so 18 center set. Now we need to select a position, so we will do a pattern. I choose pattern here because I want my FMS to be programmed as well. So as we expect engine failure, we will add a little bit of distance here on the upwind, so 5 miles is good, give us some time. The offset to the runway, 6 miles, that's good enough for us, and maybe we'll make a longer final to 8 miles. This is just a reference, but it's nice to have something on your FMS. Next, the weather. So let's see the actual weather in Amsterdam. And we can take any of this nice weather here. Let's take this one. Okay, here we have 9,000 meters of visibility. We said we would like 200 meters. So we update this one to 100 meters. Alright, all the other settings look good, and we said we want a setting at 100 feet. So for the first Cat 1 approach, we should not have contact on the runway, and for this reason we will go around. So next, we are ready to position our aircraft in FS6. So we press move aircraft and we go back to the sim.
On runway 18 center.
Alright, we are back in FS6. FSI Panel has set everything for you. We are ready for this flight. We just need to make sure that our FMS is programmed. This is what we're gonna do now. So there is no active route, so we're gonna push the route button. Where is it now? The route button here. And we need to type in FSI Panel 01 as always when you set a ground position. FSI Panel 01, and then you see Amsterdam to Amsterdam departure runway 18 center. Correct, activate. Then we're gonna set our performance, 0 fuel weight. If you double click you will get the actual 0 fuel weight. Reserve, we can put anything, let's say 2. Cruising altitude, this is the circuit altitude that we defined, so 3,000 feet. And the cost index really doesn't matter on a traffic pattern, so let's put 60. Thrust limit, so now here we can derate a little bit, takeoff 1. Or let's make it takeoff 2, a little bit more interesting for the engine fail. Takeoff, we already have the flaps 20 set here on departure, so we just type 20, and then the CG will be computed automatically by the FMC. And we got the speed here. Just confirm the speed, 125, 129, 138. We set 138 in the mode control panel. And next thing we can do here is to set the speed for the circuit, as we will climb 220, that's more than enough. Cruise, good speed is as well 220 knots, which is just above our clean speed. And during descent we will as well set 220 knots, which will give us a nice descent. Of course we will have engine failure, so the scenario will be a little bit different. So now we are all set. We can see here the traffic pattern that has been designed by FSI Panel. We requested 5 miles straight ahead, then left turn, 6 miles offset, and 8 miles final. So we can see that here now on the plan. This is the circuit. So we go back into the normal mode for takeoff. 10 miles. Everything set. We need to arm LNAV, VNAV. Our checklist are completed. QNH is 1031. And we can see here V1, 125. So now we're gonna set the speed and set the failure in FSI Panel. Alright, back to FSI Panel. Here we see a failure menu. For PMDG there is the 777, sorry, there's only 2 failure for the time being. This is dependent on the aircraft. So we're gonna fail the engine at a specific indicated airspeed, 125, which is our V1 speed. Enter, and we can execute this failure. Now we're all set, ready to fly. Okay, another thing we want to check on the FMC is the acceleration altitude. At what altitude will the aircraft start its acceleration? So here we see 800 feet. It means that at 800 feet the aircraft will start to accelerate and will be able to retract our flaps according to the flaps bug. So we'll see that now. We're ready for departure. Everything is set. Release the parking brake, advance the power, and let's go. Let's push the toggle button. We check takeoff 2 and airspeed alive. (100 knots).
V1, rotate.
Engine fail number 1. Rotate.
V2.
So feet to the right. Follow the flight director, positive right gear up, and nav is captured. So now we need to push the right feet a little bit, not too much, follow the flight director as much as you can, and we climb straight ahead. Now we get the master caution, engine 1 fail. Approaching 400 feet, we can set the autopilot on, will help us a lot, and now we can have a look at the lateral mode. One good mode here is to go in the track. It's compensated for the wind, compensated for everything, so you just set the track on the runway 183, select. Track select 183. So now we are sure the aircraft is flying straight on the runway center line. The next step we want to check is the 800 feet, the acceleration altitude on the FMC. So right now the aircraft is flying its speed V2, reaching 800 feet, boom, 217 knots, which is the V up bug. So now we see 20, that's our actual flap setting, with positive trend toward flaps 5, we can retract the flaps to 5. Flaps are moving to 5, and the aircraft is climbing slowly. The next thing we want to see here is when we pass the flaps 5 speed with the vectors toward the flaps 1, we can retract to flaps 1. So this is the case now. I have a positive vector. Let's go flaps 1. Now the flaps are reaching 1. We have flaps 1 bug. Positive acceleration toward flaps up. We set the flaps to up. Flaps are up, all set. Now we will climb with 217 knots, at least until we have reached the minimum safe altitude. So Amsterdam is quite low, so it's no problem for us here. Okay, now we need to navigate, so we will turn left to go back toward the circuit, as we need to remain normally within 25 miles of the airport. This is the guaranteed minimum safe altitude on the chart. So good practice is to stay within these 25 miles of the airport. So now we are getting to 3000 feet, VNAV path, and the aircraft will maintain 3000. You will see now that the speed will jump to 220 knots. This is what we have set in the FMC. Doesn't really make sense to fly 250 knots, the default speed, especially on one engine out, and you want to give you some extra time to prepare the airplane for landing. So now we need to go back to our circuit, and you see here the first point, FSI02. So why don't we just set a direct to FSI02 like this? Confirm, we execute, and arm nav. Check nav is captured, so now the FMC is taking care of the navigation, and we can take care now of the failure. So what we need to do now, we have engine fail left, so we need to do this checklist. So if we go here, we have the normal checklist and we see engine fail left. This is the best priority, so go for this one. Engine speed is below idle, this is the case. Objective to restart the engine if needed. Or here for training we will not do that. So left auto throttle arm switch confirm off. Alright, so let's do that here. Left auto throttle off. Now it becomes green, it's done. Left thrust lever confirm idle. Alright, the left one confirmed by your colleague, pilot or co-pilot, and then we retard it slowly to idle. That's done. The next thing, fuel control switch confirm off. Confirmed as well by the other pilot, and it's off. Next thing, a restart may be attempted. Do we want to do that? No, it's a training flight. In real life you will try, of course, to restart your engine unless you have a severe damage. Then it says here we need to inhibit the checklist auto throttle, of course, because we switch it off by ourselves. So we will not take care of this checklist. Then both engine run normally. No. APU selector start then on. Alright, this will give us an extra electrical generator. So we'll put the APU to on. And the next thing is the transponder mode to TA only. Why do we put it to TA only? We want to avoid any climb, TCAS climb, which will in single engine put the aircraft in danger in an unsafe situation, so the other aircraft will do it. Plan to land at the nearest suitable airport. Very nice, this is Amsterdam, and we'll be planning a flaps 20 landing as we have no terrain. Ground proximity flaps override switch override, so this is right here. We push it and this is override, otherwise you will get a caution before the landing and a one warning. In case of go around, flaps 5, nice to know because we will go around most probably. Checklist is now completed. Do we have anything else to do? Let's have a look. Fuel unbalance. Alright, we have a fuel unbalance. So we have to do that as well. So let's have a look at what the checklist says for that. Fuel unbalance measures may be caused by a fuel leak and so on and so on. Here we know that is due to the engine failure, so we will do fuel leak suspected no. Fuel crosswind switch either on. So okay, let's go to the overhead panel and I will switch the 4-1 on. Open. It's done. Left main tank quantity low. If you look here, the right one is low, so the answer is no. Continue on the checklist. Right main tank quantity is low. So if you look here, yes, it's lower, so yes. Right fuel pump forward and aft off. Okay, overhead panel, and we switch off the two pumps on the right hand side. Inhibit the checklist and fuel unbalance is complete. This is not the case, so we will answer no. And when it's balanced, we will switch the overhead panel back to normal. Now we continue with the normal checklist. After takeoff checklist, the landing gear is up, the flaps are up, we are fine. And then we will go into the next checklist, which is the descent checklist. Okay, now we want to update our FMS. We want to go for an ILS 18 Charlie, 18 center, and we intercept, so we get vectors for that. Execute, it just tells us that we are not an intercept heading as we are on downwind. So we'll be ready now for this approach. Flaps 20, landing according to the checklist, so the new VRF speed will be 152, which is set. We can have a look at the nav setting. ILS is set, course 183. The MCDU is ready. Next, what to do now, we're gonna do the checklist. So recall, do we have anything new? No, we still have the fuel unbalance, so let's have a look. Nothing new, and we have the caution that we're expecting for the actual situation. The notes, auto brake, so here we will put the auto brake to 3. Anything you want, but here's a good idea to put it a bit more as we have a higher high speed for the approach. Landing data, so the VREF. We have set the VREF to 152 for flaps 20, and we need to set our minimum for this approach. So we want to fly a Cat 1 approach. Here on the chart here you can see that the minimum is 188 feet, and it's a barrow minimum, so we need to put barrow to 188. It's not that easy here. Let's do it. 188. Oops, that's the wrong side. Coming close. 188 set. So the landing data are set. The next thing to do is the approach briefing. Okay, so it's a training flight. We're gonna do a quick briefing. It's ILS DME runway 18 center in Amsterdam. MSA is 1700 or 2300 on the southeast part of the airport, expecting inbound track 183 with vectors. It's a 3 degrees glide. Check the marker at 4 miles 1310 feet, and we go down to a minimum category 1 of 188 feet. In case of go around, we will climb a runway heading to 1500 feet. Alright, approach briefing is done. It was a quick one. We do more normally much longer briefing, but here we make it quick. The altimeter is set, didn't change since we departed, and we are ready for the landing checklist whenever the aircraft will be on the final approach. Okay, so let's close that. And now we are on downwind. We have done all the checklist. We have to monitor our fuel and balance, and we can check here the altitude. We are at 3000 feet and we need to go down for this approach. So it looks like we are at the right altitude to start base turn. So let's go on a base turn. Track select with the 90 degrees to the left. Okay, we have track select. We're turning now on a base for this approach. Okay, here we have two options. Either we have nav, LNAV, and the aircraft will intercept the localizer course, or we just look at the distance, and when we are about 3 miles from the runway axis, we will turn left on a 30 degrees intercept, which is a nice intercept, single engine. So that will give us a heading of 213, or in this case it's a track 213, and we will arm the approach as we are clear for this approach. Alright, localizer is already captured, so as a reminder we will fly a Cat 1 ILS and we have a weather for a Cat 3, so we should not have contact. So we expect a go around on this approach. So we will take over the speed now to 20 knots and we will start to reduce the speed. So we can start by putting to flaps 1. Flaps are moving and you see the bug for flaps 1, so we can set the speed to the bug 1 here. The aircraft start to decelerate. Flaps 1 are set. We can continue reductions by putting the flaps to 5, and then we will set the speed to the bug 5 or anything above. Here I will set a round figure, so speed 180 knots. Now we can see that we are getting nicely established on the localizer. The next thing will be the glide slope intercept. Okay, glide slope is coming. Nice, so we get established now, fully established. Glide slope captured. So what we need to do when we have the glide slope captured, sorry, we set the go around altitude. In that case, 1,500 feet according to the chart, and then contact ATC. Alright, now we need to continue our speed reduction, so we put the gear down. Gear is down, and now we can set our flaps to 20, or flap setting for landing, and set our V approach, which is equivalent to VREF today according to the checklist 152. Speed brake is armed, flaps are set, landing checklist completed. So now we will just wait until the aircraft is fully stabilized for this approach. So what we need is the speed to drop to 152, the power to come up, and then we will consider this as a stabilized approach. And from that point we will take a snapshot with FSI panel, so we can practice several other approach go around with a nicely configured aircraft for the actual situation. Okay, we are almost getting stabilized. We are 1,700 feet on the radio altimeters, and we will soon take a snapshot. Alright, ready to take the snapshot. So what to do, just press take snapshot, then we choose any of the slot, and we can name it as we want. So we have already Amsterdam, Schiphol Airport, PMGG 777, and I will put OEI. Enter. And now that's it. The system saves all your parameters and you're back in the flight sim. Alright, we will turn off now. Turn on, the pumps, switch off the crossbreed valve, and we are fully set for landing. Land 3. We pass the auto marker, the altitude is correct, the minimum is now 188. So let's go a little bit faster here as it is a long video. We're going down, very nicely stabilized. And I will go back to normal speed, reaching 500 feet. Alright, and now we continue down to the minimum. And we will go around. We know it because we did the scenario by ourselves. In real life, you don't know whether you will go around or if you will land. So here, we know that we will go around. So we get ready for that.
Approaching minimums. 200.
Minimum. Go around, toga switch pressed, flaps 5, monitor the vertical speed, positive, gear up. The next step you want to do is 400 feet, check your lateral mode. So right now we have LNAV. 400 feet, good idea to go on a track mode. 183, so you will go straight ahead on your runway track. Passing 800, we can start to accelerate to clean up the aircraft, so we will set our V up bug was 217. So let's say 217, and here as we have to level up at 1500 feet, you see the aircraft is already in alt captured. So we see here the flaps 5 bug. We need to pass 5, positive trend toward 1, we can go to flaps 1. Now we have the flaps to 1, positive trend toward flaps up, flaps 0. Alright, flaps are up, speed is good, we are maintaining 1500. So now we will freeze, it will be FSI panel control, and we will do another approach. Alright, back to FSI panel. We want to do another approach, so we go load, snapshot, we choose the slot, so this one PMDG 777 OEI, and that's it. As you can see now, the simulator is back to the right altitude, 1580 radio altimeter. FSI panel will do everything for you now. So we'll let the aircraft go down. It will start monitoring the engines, and he let the aircraft go down on the ARS. The reason is to trim the aircraft properly for you. So once the aircraft will be properly trimmed, it will bring you back to your original position. So you will be back at 1580 feet, which was our initial altitude when we took the snapshot. Boom, here we go, 1580 feet, nicely established. You can check that your approach mode is armed. We are lock and glide slope captured, land 3, and once we're ready, we can just release the pause, and you'll be flying this approach. Okay, now we want to do a Cat 3 as we didn't have any contact on the Cat 1, so set the Cat 3. As you can see, 50 feet is the new minimum, and it's based on the radio altimeter. So we need to go on radio and set it to 50 feet. Alright, now we have radio 50 feet, land 3, and we will do a Cat 3 approach. Look at the landing check. We need a speed brake. Speed brake is armed, landing check is complete. 1000 feet, we are fully stabilized. We can continue this approach. Now we make it a little bit faster, down to around 400 feet, and then we'll see if we have contact and if we can land this airplane finally.
400. 300. 200.
Now we see the approach light coming slowly.
Approaching minimums. 100.
Contact
Minimums.
landing.
30.
Flare.
20. 10.
Okay, we are on the ground. Now deploy the reverse. You see the autopilot is on rollout mode, so the aircraft is responsible for the center line. Your auto brake is set to 3, so the aircraft is slowing down slowly. And now we take manual braking.
4,000 feet remaining.
80 knots, reverse stowed,
3,000 feet
and we will try to get out here. Autopilot off, and we get out here. So you can practice that as much as you like with a FSI panel. You can change the weather, try again. It's up to you. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you like it. More video will be coming soon with new features and other demonstration. And as I said, there is a failure panel for every aircraft, and PMDG 777 has a lot of failure already included in the FMC. This is why I just put right now only the engine failure, and all the other failure can be set through the FMC. Thank you for watching. See you soon.